He is an author. From the Company of Shadows is the book, an expose on CIA operations and the abuse of secrecy. He is a former CIA officer, intelligence and counterterrorism expert, held several high-level positions in CIA. His assignments included protective agent for the director of the CIA, counterintelligence espionage investigator, overseas counterterrorism operations officer, internal security investigator, assistant team leader for an anti-terrorism tactical assault team, and polygraph examiner. He was the program manager for the Department of State, Diplomatic Security, Anti-Terrorism Assistance Global Police Training Program, recipient of 2 CIA Meritorious Unit Citations, 3 Exceptional Performance Awards, and a medallion for high-risk overseas operations. As I say, he is the author of From the Company of Shadows, an expose on CIA operations and the abuse of secrecy. He has come out to expose what he calls the shadow government, the massive system of secrecy and money that controls the U.S. government, something we've long suspected. He has received standing ovations for his presentation, Constitutional Crisis in America. He is Mr. Kevin Shipp. First time on Caravan to Midnight. Welcome, sir.
Welcome to you too. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thanks so much for agreeing to come on.
I consider myself more than anything a constitutionalist, and the reason I came out speaking about these sorts of things was because of my devotion for the Constitution. I swore an oath to that, and indeed many times we risk our lives on one-way assignments for that. So I'm a constitutionalist, and that's what motivates me to come out and talk about these things, because we're under a post-constitutional government now, and my mission in the time I have left on this earth is to alert people that that is going on. There is a shadow government behind our government, and I think most people have a gut feeling that's true. But anyway, that's what I describe myself as.
You know, a lot of people feel that and I'm one of them, and I never stand between somebody and a good idea. And I'm really sort of to hell with a good story. What is the truth? A lot of times the truth is a little bit more boring than you would like it to be, not quite so much panache, but the truth is the truth, and that's what we need. But a lot of people feel, and I say again, I'm one of them, that the government was hijacked. I think we suffered a coup. But so how bad is it? When did you, let's keep along the timeline. When did you discover, if you went in 85, when did you decide, say, there's something going on here that's probably not good?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. Obviously, I was a decorated officer. I loved my job, and I loved what I was doing. Unfortunately, the higher I got up in the agency, the more illegal activity I saw, some of which was being concealed from Congress. And of course, we have a constitutional problem there. But in short, I was doing an international investigation on the cover of our agents in just about every country on the globe. And I found, alarmingly, there was a vulnerability within the CIA system to go in to open source computers and identify the agents of our covert personnel in the field, which opened them up, obviously, to assassination. At first, I was kind of shocked by that. I documented, re-documented, re-investigated, re-studied, and it just popped up over and over. So I wrote probably about a 25-page report with all my findings, and contacted the senior CI officer in charge of that particular program, advised him what I had, told him that I'd send him my findings just to see what he thought. I think it was the next day on the internal phone system, I get a threatening phone call from a senior official telling me to drop my investigation and threatening my career. Hung up the phone, and I was a little bit shocked, and I wound up, from that on it was like, oh, I don't think they'll do this, and sure enough they did. Anyway, so I called this office back, and I said, listen, you need to understand this is potentially threatening to the lives of our agents. Let me send you the report, and you can at least take a look at it. Well, fine, click. So I sent the report through internal channels, all of which is tracked, went directly to that office, gave them about a week to look it over, called them up. Hey, did you see the report? What did you think? The response was, what report? I said, you know, the one I sent you through internal channels. We never got it. I said, okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to hand carry this over to headquarters, and I'm going to give it to you across your desk. So I drove to headquarters, got in there, went up to the office, went to the desk, handed across the desk with a buck slip, a routing slip on it, and said, "Here it is. You know, just asking what you think. It looks potentially serious." Gave him another week, called him back. The response was, "What report?" And I said, "Now, come on, you got to be kidding here. I handed this to you personally." "Oh, we must have lost it," they said. I said, "Okay, I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do about this." Hung up the phone, went into the internal major server, and it had been erased from the server. Anyway, to make a long story short, I took the report. I realized that there was a cover-up of massive proportions. That's one thing. The other thing is, why would they want to conceal a vulnerability where our agents could be identified and possibly assassinated? That hangs out there to this day. I think it ties to the shadow government. That was kind of the opening of my eyes. Anyway, to make a long story short, I took the report to a senior government official outside. They did a major investigation. They found that the vulnerability was worse than even I thought. The CIA was publicly rebuked in a big meeting. A report was issued to the intelligence community rebuking the agency publicly. I was given an award, but that didn't negate the fact that basically I had a laser dot on my chest. Yeah. Anyway, I was put on a controversial base. The house was poisoned. We all got sick. The house was broken into, and on it went. And eventually I came out and wrote the book From the Company of Shadows and decided that I was going to fight this system because it is well outside the Constitution.
Kevin, if it's okay to address you by your first name, I hope it is.
Please.
Why would they want to ignore or otherwise conceal a vulnerability? How did that help them?
That's the question everybody asks, including I had some attorneys working with me. No one could figure that one out. To this day, it's mysterious unless you wanted a system, and this is just conjecture, unless you wanted a system there with if an agent was not doing what you wanted him to do, him or her to do, there's a way to go in and just identify and have them removed and make it look like someone else did it.
Sure.
You know, I really don't know what else it could be. It could be extreme incompetence. I've seen that in the agency before, but there have been since so many things that have happened that are related to that it was a lot more than that. And I just, you know, anything that I would say would be conjecture. It's bizarre.
It does seem to be a little bit more than just a simple case of CYA.
Yeah, I think so. And the events the targeting that they did of me later on was pretty obvious that they did not want that being corrected.
Who do we think are the architects of this shadow government, and how far back do you think it exists?
Well, I tell you, it goes back at least to 1921.